Good evening. Welcome back to Be Rich. The Russian Ukraine war seems to have dragged on. Russia thought it would have conquered Ukraine, and it is meeting untold resistance. The Ukrainian president himself is in the trenches with an AK 47 urging his people to fight on. And so, about 2.5 lakh reserve army of the Ukrainians is out on the streets defending Ukraine. This war seems to be dragging more than what Putin expected it to be. Also, billionaires have got involved in it. Elon Musk saying that he would give his Starlink internet free, international hackers attacking Russian sites, and the rest of the world promising aid. But I am not going to talk about all that, nor am I going to talk about oil. But what I am going to talk about is definitely very interesting. I am going to take you back to 200 years, the great Napoleonic War, after which for 100 years there was no war in Europe. The Napoleonic Wars was fought between France on one side, with the Allies, the Russians, the Persians, the English, and the rest of them put together. And when Napoleon was losing the war, they needed money to fund the war. And who else would have funded the war but Rothschilds, which a bond which lasted for 100 years? So the governments respectively borrowed money in the market and issued bonds over long periods of maturities. And depending on the state of the war, the price of the bonds would fluctuate. Nathan Rothschild, one of the original Rothschild brothers, is reputed to have got the news of Wellington's victory in Waterloo much before others. And the news was fluctuating in London on the fate of the war throughout the day, and the markets went up and down. At one time, the market for gilt collapsed completely, that is the UK bonds, and Nathan Rothschild kept buying, kept buying, kept buying. And finally, the news came that Wellington triumphed over Napoleon and the bonds rallied. So, a bond market is normally a market which tells us what is happening in the world and what is the state of a country. So, now let's look at the Ukrainian bond. The Ukrainian government has issued bonds worth $35 billion in the international market. The normal rate today should be 5 or 6% maximum for a bond. Pakistan's bond is at 7%, and Ukraine's economy is definitely in a far better place than where Pakistan is. But war has meant that the Ukrainian bond is now trading at an yield of 16%. That means if you buy an Ukrainian bond today, you will get a yield of 16%. The only problem, we do not know whether Ukraine will be in a position to repay or Russia would have swallowed it completely. Yesterday, the Ukraine Treasury announced that they would be floating special war bonds. Basically, what they are saying is they want to issue more bonds, which they expect international investors to put their money where there is mouth and fund this war. They hope to raise about $3 billion to fight this war, and they want to list it in the international browsers. This means we are going back 200 years where wars are being financed by private financiers. In fact, some people say instead of aid, this is an indirect form of aid for Ukraine if this bond is fully subscribed, because nobody in their right mind would buy a bond from a country whose very existence is in threat. So, when this bond is issued and it goes public, we will know who has subscribed to it. But $3 billion is not too much of a money, and many financiers would be able to bail out this issue. Let us wait and watch when this bond comes through and how the money is sent to Ukraine. But $3 billion of money to Ukraine would mean this war would continue for a long time, and Russia seems to have bitten off more than it can chew. So, this concept of raising a bond to fight a war is novel today, but was something that the world used 200 years back. While this is going on, the Russian ruble collapsed by 30% yesterday, and the Russian central bank had no option but to increase interest rates to stem the flow of forex outside the country. What they did was truly extraordinary. I do not know whether Russia is the aggressor or is at the receiving end. Interest rates were being raised from 9.5% to 20%. That interest rates were doubled within a single trading day. Also, it made it very clear that there was no foreigner could sell Russian securities. Short selling was completely banned. But while this was going on, the West did not keep quiet. The West said, except medicines and an oil, the Russian banks and companies would be cut off completely from international markets. Normally, banks transact using the SWIFT code. For many Russian banks, the SWIFT code is going to be cancelled. And now they are targeting the Russian central bank. If the Russian central bank's SWIFT code is broken, then there is lot of hell will break out. Russia has $600 billion or of forex reserves, most of it in American Treasury. This would mean that the rest of the world will simply bar and say thank you very much. That $600 billion is not going to come to you and you are not going to get anything because the interest credits and the central bank selling those scripts, US Treasury for dollars, is not going to be possible. All this means that Russia is also going to be under pressure. If crude is not sanctioned, it will enjoy the benefits of selling crude at high price. But there is a problem in the Baltic Sea and the Black Sea from where Russian crude is loaded. No shipping line wants to take the risk of shipping those crude, and insurance for freight has simply been not decided because nobody can risk a catastrophic loss on their cargo they have insured over due to an act of war. But it clearly looks that this problem is not going to go away. We are now having war bonds, banks being banned from SWIFT codes, and the economic war seems to have just begun. Thank you for watching. Be rich. If you like this video, kindly subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notification. It is not enough if you subscribe to my channel. Please share this video with your friends and relatives. Thank you once again for watching Be Rich. I have written two books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support.